The most dangerous thing that can happen to you is not losing your job, getting sick, or dying. It's realizing that the person you think is living your life may not have ever existed in the first place. And if that sounds absurd, good, because what I'm about to ask you to do is not philosophical. It is not religious. It is not symbolic. I want to give you a taste of what God realization truly is. Not an idea of God, not a theology, not spirituality. I mean the raw thing itself. So right now, stop thinking about what you've heard God is supposed to be. Forget the bearded man in the clouds. Forget heaven. Forget religion. Forget every image, concept, philosophy, or spiritual meme you've ever accumulated. Even forget every idea you've ever heard from me. And now look. Not think, look. Look at your actual experience happening right now. The colors, the sounds, the sensations, the room, the feeling of existing, this immediacy, this undeniable present fact. Compare this to every idea of God you have previously imagined and notice something unsettling. Every concept of God was appearing inside of this present experience, meaning this present experience was already here first. The concepts came later, the stories came later, the label came later. So maybe what you've been calling reality this entire time was actually a conceptual overlay pasted on top of something infinitely stranger. Because the only reason this does not already feel like God is because the mind has spent its entire life explaining it away. You were trained into normalcy, conditioned into familiarity, hypnotized by repetition. But now we're going to start removing the hypnosis. And this is where the exercise begins. I want you to follow it carefully, not intellectually, directly. Because if you actually do this honestly, your entire sense of reality may begin to loosen. So go ahead and close your eyes. First, remove your idea of planet Earth. Seriously. Forget everything you've known about Earth. Forget space, forget globes, forget maps, forget continents, forget astronomy. Right now, in direct experience, where exactly is planet Earth? Can you see it? Or is Earth actually a mental model layered on top of the immediate experience? Right now, there's only color, sound, sensation, and thought. The idea of a spinning rock in space is something you are imagining conceptually. You are not directly experiencing planet Earth. You are experiencing this. And if you successfully strip away the concept of Earth, something strange starts to happen. This present moment becomes a little bit more mysterious, more unexplainable. Now go further. Remove the entire universe. Not just Earth, but the entire cosmos. Galaxies, stars, black holes, the Big Bang, space itself. Right now, where is the universe? Have you ever experienced a universe? Or have you only ever experienced thoughts about a universe appearing now? Notice how quickly the mind tries to run back to concepts. It wants explanations and solidity, but stay here. Stay with direct experience before explanation. Because something terrifying starts to happen when the conceptual background collapses. Reality stops feeling ordinary. Now remove science, not because science is useless, but because scientific models are still models. Atoms, molecules, quantum mechanics, physics, these are just descriptions. They're symbols, mathematical representations, but none of those explanations are the direct experience itself. You have never seen an atom. You have never experienced quantum mechanics directly. You experience color, sound, thought, sensations, and then the mind overlays explanatory frameworks on top of that. Strip the explanations away completely, and suddenly this moment becomes almost alien. Now remove biology. Forget the idea that you are a biological organism. Forget evolution, forget ape ancestry, forget the concept human. Right now, in immediate experience, what proof is there that what you are is a human being? Really look. You have sensations and perceptions and thoughts, but human is a category placed on top afterward. And the moment that label loosens, your identity begins destabilizing because maybe you never actually ever experienced being a human. Maybe you only ever experienced consciousness plus a story about being a human. Now go deeper. Remove the idea that consciousness is produced by a brain. You have been told your entire life that experience is happening inside your skull, but notice something, your skull itself is appearing inside experience. The brain is an image in consciousness, a thought in consciousness, an idea in consciousness. So how could something appearing inside consciousness be creating consciousness itself? Now your mind is going to panic slightly, but good. That means the structure is weakening. Now remove the idea of birth. Not conceptually, directly. Right now, where is your birth? It's a memory, a story, a narrative, but this present experience itself does not contain being born. And suddenly, another horrifying realization begins to emerge. Why does anything exist at all? Not philosophically, but literally. Why is there experience instead of nothing? Why is there color instead of blackness? Why is there sound instead of silence? Why is there consciousness at all? This is the point where reality starts to become incomprehensible. Remove the idea that you are alive. Be careful. You've had experiences, but have you ever actually experienced being alive? Or is being alive just another interpretation laid on top of raw existence? Now remove human history. The past, civilizations, wars, dinosaurs, ancient Egypt, your childhood, all of it exists only as thought appearing now. And as these mental structures dissolve, something eerie begins to happen. This moment starts losing context. Reality becomes groundless. Now remove time. Forget seconds, minutes, hours, days, years, and just watch closely. Where does time actually occur? You never experience time itself. You experience changing appearances, and then thought creates a story called time. But this present moment itself does not arrive from the past or move into a future. It simply appears right now. And without time, your entire identity begins to collapse because your entire identity depends on your memory continuing. Without psychological time, who are you? Now strip away the assumption of other independent minds. Again, do not force a belief, just investigate honestly. Everything you know about other people appears as experience within consciousness. You have thoughts about others, images of others, sounds from others, but all of it appears here, inside of this field. This does not mean other people do not exist. It means your only access to anything has always been consciousness itself, and that realization is deeply destabilizing. Now, throw away the idea that there are other rooms in your house right now. Notice how much of your reality is assumption, mental completion, concepts continuing. You are imagining a world extending beyond immediate perception. But right now, there's only this room, this field, this bubble of experience. And now we arrive at the strangest part. What is consciousness? Not your old definitions, not neuroscience or spirituality, but what actually is this? Expand your focus. Don't focus only on the body, take in the entire visual field. The walls, the air, the sounds, the space around the body. Notice that experience is happening as one unified field. And now look very carefully. Are you inside the experience, or is the experience containing the idea of you? Because the body itself is appearing inside this field, meaning the field is primary, not the body. So perhaps what you are is not a person inside consciousness, but consciousness itself, this entire bubble. Now the mind starts to search for a location. Where is this bubble occurring? Inside the skull? But the skull is appearing inside of the bubble. Inside space? But space itself is part of the experience. So where is consciousness actually located? Nowhere. And this is where the exercise becomes truly strange. After stripping away every explanation and every label, every assumption, this moment no longer feels ordinary, it feels impossible. And now we can approach what humans have called God. Not as a religion or mythology, but as the raw fact of consciousness itself. Because what remains after everything is stripped away? A boundless field of experience. Groundless, unlocatable, unexplained. Not made of anything you could point to, and yet undeniably present. This is why mystics call it divine, not because there's an old man in the sky, not because existence itself is incomprehensibly miraculous. This field exists nowhere. It has no visible edge. No center can actually be found, and yet everything appears within it. Thoughts, bodies, worlds, memory, time, space, identity, all arising inside of this empty aware space. Now turn attention inward. What are you at the deepest level? Not the face, not the personality, not the voice in the head. Look deeper. What is actually there? You may begin to notice something shocking. There is no solid self, only transparent awareness, an open emptiness, a formless knowing, and from this emptiness, the entire world appears. The room appears, the body appears, thought appears, emotion appears, everything emerges from this silent field. And this is the part that feels almost psychedelic. Reality begins looking dreamlike. Not fake or unreal, but profoundly mysterious, as if existence is something appearing from nowhere. Because no matter how many explanations the mind creates, you still cannot explain why consciousness exists at all. You cannot explain why anything appears. You cannot explain why there is something rather than nothing. And the deeper you look, the more reality starts resembling an infinite hallucination occurring within a boundless field of awareness. Now take one final step. Strip away the assumption that something is happening here. Not metaphorically, directly. Drop every interpretation, every label, every narrative. What remains? Color, sound, sensation, awareness. An indescribable happening without explanation. And suddenly, the solidity of the world begins dissolving, not into darkness, not into nihilism, but into absolute mystery. This is why awakened people say reality is already complete, already whole, already infinite, because beneath every story the mind tells, there is simply this eternal appearance, this impossible presence, this unfathomable field of consciousness. And maybe what humans have been calling God was never a being watching the universe. Maybe it was this entire field of existence itself. not separate from you, not outside you, but the very condition for anything to appear at all. And the strangest part is this: it has been staring you directly in the face your entire life, hidden only by the assumption that reality was ordinary.